السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والذين يكنزون الذهب والفضة ولا ينفقونها في سبيل الله فبشرهم بعذاب أليم يوم يحمى عليها في نار جهنم فتكوى بها جباههم وجنوبهم وظهورهم هذا ما كنزتم لأنفسكم فذوقوا ما كنتم تكنزون. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم، ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي رب زدني علما. My respected elders and brothers, being a Muslim, being a believer, we all know from our childhood the famous hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Bunya al-Islamu ala khams. The foundation of Islam is on 5 things. Shahadati Allah ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. To bear witness that there is no one worthy of worship but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger of Allah. Wa iqamis salah, to establish salah. Wa ita'iz zakah, to give charity. Wa sawmi Ramadan, to fast in the month of Ramadan. Wa hajjil bayt, and to perform the hajj, the pilgrimage of the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are the 5 pillars of Islam. In other words, if somebody intentionally leaves them, first of all, when a person says La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, accepts testimony for both these things, he enters the fold of Islam. Once he enters the fold of Islam, then the 4 things become obligatory upon him if he is in a position to do so. Zakat and Hajj depend on a person's financial situation. If he has money, he will give zakat. If he doesn't have money, he will not give zakat. But salah is for everyone. Fasting is for approximately or mostly everyone except for a person who does not have health. Hajj is also based on a person's finances. It's not obligatory on everyone. So today we are going to talk about zakat. What is the definition of zakat? Who have to take out zakat? Who can receive zakat? How to calculate the zakat? Which items are zakatable items and which items are non-zakatable items. So first of all, we'll start with the definition of zakat. What is the status of a zakat in Islam? Zakat is one of the most important pillars of Islam. It's a monetary ibadat, a monetary act of worship. Denying its obligation takes a person out of the fold of Islam. Koi zakat ka inkar kare to wo kafir ban jata hai. A person upon whom zakat is obligatory but he does not discharge zakat, it's a major sin. Jaan pooch ke zakat dene mein der karna, ye gunah kabira hai. What is the definition? Tarif kya hai? It is a set amount decided by Sharia that must be given with the intention of zakat from the wealth of a person, and the ownership of this amount must be transferred to eligible individuals. So let's break it down. The first part of the definition is it's a set amount, 2.5%. Nobody can say since we are wealthy now we should give 5%. No, Allah has decided this. And we have been told through Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that it's 2.5%. If somebody wants to give more, this is extra charity, sadaqah, but zakat is only 2.5%. So this means this has been decided by Sharia. Once you take it out from your wealth, if you make the intention of zakat, then it will become zakat. If you don't make the intention of zakat, it won't be considered zakat. It will become regular charity. This is the second part of the definition. Third part of the definition, you have to make the opposite person owner of it. Malik banana. If you don't make the person owner of this amount, your zakat is still not accepted. So 2.5%, the first thing, has to be taken out with the intention of zakat. Second thing. Third, the opposite person has to be made the owner of this. Then it becomes zakat. Okay. So this is as far as the definition is concerned. जो शरीयत ने जो मिक़दार तय की है यानी 2.5% उसको निकालना, और ज़कात की नीयत से अपने माल से निकालना. कोई ज़कात की नीयत करना भूल गया तो ज़कात अदा नहीं होगी, और सामने वाले को मालिक बना देना उस माल का. Okay, what are the warnings regarding a person who does not give zakat and it's obligatory upon him? The ayah of Surah Tawbah that I recited in front of you, the translation of this ayah is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, as for those who accumulate gold and silver, وَلَا يُنْفِقُونَهَا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, and do not spend it in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, give them the glad tidings of the hellfire, the punishment of the hellfire. يَوْمَ يُحْمَى عَلَيْهَا فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمْ. On the day of judgment, this gold and silver will be made red hot in the fire of Jahannam. فَتُقْوَى بِهَا جِبَاهُهُمْ. And this red hot gold and silver will be pasted on their forehead, وَجُنُوبُهُمْ, on their sides, وَظُهُورُهُمْ, and on their backs. فَتُقْوَى بِهَا جِبَاهُهُمْ وَجُنُوبُهُمْ وَظُهُورُهُمْ. Then it will be said to them, هَذَا مَا كَنَسْتُمْ لِأَنفُسِكُمْ. This is what you used to gather and amass for yourself. فَذُوقُوا مَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْنِزُونَ. Now taste the punishment of this gathering gold and silver. क़यामत के दिन इस सोने और चांदी को लाया जाएगा, वो लोगों का सोना और चांदी जो अल्लाह के रास्ते में खर्च नहीं करते यानी ज़कात नहीं देते, और जो है जहन्नुम में उसको तपाया जाएगा, और उस सोने और चांदी से माथे को दागा जाएगा, साइडों को दागा जाएगा और पीठ को दागा जाएगा, और कहा जाएगा ये वो माल है जिसको तुम दुनिया में जमा करते थे, अब मज़ा चखो इस माल का. So this is a stern warning by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those people upon whom zakat is obligatory but they don't take out zakat. What did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a hadith of Bukhari? The person upon whom Allah has bestowed wealth and he does not give zakat, on the day of resurrection, meaning Qiyamah, his wealth will be turned into a poisonous snake. His money will be turned into a poisonous snake, a poisonous bald snake. Why bald? The ulama say there will be so much poison in his head that the hair will go off the head. A poisonous bald snake that will wind around his neck. गंजा और जो है वो जहरीला सांप बना के उसके माल को लाया जाएगा जो उसकी गर्दन से लिपट जाएगा, and bite his jaws, यहाँ से जबड़ों से उसको पकड़ लेगा और कहेगा I am your wealth, I am your treasure. That his own wealth will become a serpent, will grab him by the jaws and will tell him I am your wealth, I am your treasure. So may Allah save all of us from this. Ameen. So it's very important that we should look into our wealth, make sure that zakat has to be given or not. Now upon whom, the next question, now the question comes, it's so tough, so should I give out zakat or not? Is zakat upon me or not? So the question is, upon whom is zakat obligatory? Zakat is obligatory upon people who fulfill 8 conditions, 8 shartain. The first condition is you have to be a Muslim. A kafir doesn't have to take out zakat. Second, you have to be an adult. Maybe a 7-year-old becomes a millionaire, he inherits money, he doesn't have to give zakat until he reaches the age of puberty. So you have to be an adult. You have to be sane. Somebody, may Allah forbid, is insane and a millionaire. He doesn't have to give zakat. Fourth, you have to be the owner of the wealth, at least the minimum amount of wealth upon which zakat becomes obligatory. In Arabic, it's known as nisab. Urdu mein bhi hum nisab kehte hain. Or easy way in English is the threshold line. You cross that threshold line, you have to give zakat. You are below that threshold line, you can receive zakat. It's very easy. So you should be the owner of nisab. 4 conditions: Muslim, adult, sane, owner of nisab. Musalman hona, aqil hona, baligh hona, nisab ka malik hona. 4 conditions. Just 1 minute. Fifth condition, you should own that money. What does it mean you should own? Ownership includes 2 things. Ownership is it belongs to you. Second is you can use it whenever you want. What's an example? That you only fulfill one condition. Two examples are there. One is the money is yours, but you have lended the money to someone. It is your money, but you cannot use it because it's not in your hand. So this is incomplete ownership. Another example of incomplete ownership, you have borrowed money from someone. You have $10,000. You can do whatever, throw it in the garbage. But one day you have to return it. So you do not fully own it. So you should fully own it. So now the question arises, what if I have $5,000 and I lend it to someone? Do I have to give zakat on it because I fully don't own it unless he returns it to me? The answer will come when we talk about it. But this should be kept in mind. The fifth condition is full ownership. Sixth condition, in excess of personal needs like clothing, household furniture, cars, utensils, everything, it should be in excess. ज़रूरत असलिया से वो माल ज़्यादा हो. ज़रूरत असलिया क्या है? घर है, गाड़ी है, स्त्री है, वैक्यूम क्लीनर है, घड़ी है, कंप्यूटर भी एक सिंगल कंप्यूटर आदमी की ज़रूरत बन गया है. इससे एक्सेस में वो माल हो. So the money that we have should be in excess of these personal needs. This is the sixth condition. Seventh condition, it should be possessed by the person for at least a complete Islamic lunar year. एक साल तक वो हाथ में माल हो. It should stay in your hand for one Islamic year. And an Islamic year and an English year has a big difference. English year is 10 days longer than the Islamic year. Zakat becomes obligatory once you complete the Islamic year. And if you are calculating zakat based on the English year, every year you are pushing your date by 10 days and you are getting sinful for this. zakat का जो हिसाब करना चाहिए वो इस्लामी साल के एतबार से हिसाब करना चाहिए कि मेरी ज़कात शाबान में या रमज़ान में या रब्बुल अव्वल में फ़र्ज़ हो रही है. अगर इंग्लिश एतबार से करेंगे तो हर साल 10-10 दिन आगे जाते जाएंगे और हमें गुनाह मिलेगा कि हम देर कर रहे हैं ज़कात निकालने के अंदर. This is the seventh condition. The eighth condition is the money, the assets, the stocks, the gold, the silver should be of productive nature. If your wealth is not of productive nature, zakat will not come on it. Example of productive nature, gold, silver. Now this, for example, is a bar of gold. After 10 years it won't grow up. No, it will still remain the same. But it's still productive. How is it productive? The value goes up and down. And you have a 6 months old lamb or sheep. It physically grows every year. So this is potentially growing, and the animal, for example, livestock, is physically growing. So either way, the wealth should be of productive nature. So these are the 8 conditions. Even one condition is missing, zakat will not be obligatory. Now questions might be coming in your mind, sawalat aa rahe honge zehn mein. Please note it down in your mind or in your phone. At the end, inshallah, if any questions are there, inshallah, we'll try to answer it. There is no zakat on assets that are not of a productive nature, even if these are in excess of one's need, such as cars. Value rarely goes up. After COVID, it went up. But otherwise, maybe in our history, it never went up like this, okay? So cars usually are not of productive or nature in the sense it depreciates by time. So those things that are not of productive nature and in an excess of one's needs, such as cars, utensils, furniture, those that grow old and depreciate by every passing day, as long as such items are not intended for trade. Yes, if you have cars, you buy and sell, or you buy and sell furniture. So sure, then it's business items. Whether the value is going down, you have to calculate zakat. But if it's for general use, once in a while you use it, no zakat on it. There is no zakat on those whose short-term liabilities are due immediately, exceed or equal their assets. What does it mean? You have $5,000 in hand, but you have the electricity bill, you have the gas bill, you have the insurance bill, everything is due, you have a grace period of 15 days. So when you do the calculation on paper, you have a balance of 5,000 and you have bills due 4,700. So how much remains when we minus 4,700 from 5,000? 300. Now 300, if it reaches nisab, you will give zakat on that 300, otherwise you don't have to give zakat. So what does it mean? For example, your zakat date is 1st of Ramadan, assuming. And on 1st of Ramadan, you check your checkings account balance, savings account balance, stocks balance, money in the pocket, money in the safe inside the house, money in the safe inside the bank, or whatever, wherever your extra money is. Then you'll check your liabilities. Gas bill is due, electricity bill is due, insurance is due, property tax is due. Whatever is already due, you can deduct it on the paper. But if something is not due yet, it's going to be due after 10 days, then you cannot deduct it. So this is the meaning of subtracting the liabilities, and then whatever the balance is, you have to calculate zakat on it. What types of wealth, on which types of wealth is zakat obligatory? किन किन चीज़ों पे zakat फ़र्ज होती है या जिसको माल समझा जाता है ना आसान ज़बान में? What is considered wealth, in other words? Gold and silver, be it in the form of jewelry, utensils, bullion, or any other form. Okay. Number 2, cash, checkings and savings balance. Number 3, loans lent to others which are acknowledged. Loans that you have given to others and the opposite people acknowledge it. Now this question arises. Ownership is not complete. You have lended money, $5,000 to someone. Now we are going to see whether he acknowledges it or not. If he says, who are you? I don't know you. I don't need to return any money to you. This means he's not acknowledging it. But if he says, yes, I have signed a contract with you, I will return the money in 2 years. And whenever you meet him, out of courtesy, he says, I remember, forgive me, I'm getting late, I will return your money. This means he acknowledges it. So if a person acknowledges it, then scholars say it's better to give it every year. Why? Because, for example, you lended money $1,000, let's make it easy. You lended money $1,000 to someone, he returned it to you after 5 years. And you are not taking out zakat every year. After 5 years, as soon as he returns it to you, you have to right away take out zakat for 5 years and take it out, give it out. Maybe it becomes difficult for you to take out such a big chunk altogether. So that's why, as far as loans are acknowledged, take it out to be safe, on the safe side every year. If they are not acknowledged, then wait until you get it. If you get it, alhamdulillah. If you don't get it, you don't have to give zakat. कर्जा लोगों को दिया, अगर वो मुकर्रर नहीं रहे हैं कर्जे से, मान रहे हैं कि हमें लौटाना है, तो एहतियातन हर साल आदमी उसकी ज़कात निकाल दे, वरना जब 3-4 साल के बाद वो मिलेगा तो एकदम से पूरे 3-4 साल की ज़कात निकालना होगी और वो शायद मुश्किल बन जाए. आज सामने वाला मुकर ही गया कि कौन हो तुम, मैं नहीं जानता तुमको, तो फिर हमें ज़कात एहतियातन भी निकालने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. जब वो देगा उस वक्त जितने साल गुजरे होंगे उतने साल की हम निकाल देंगे. नहीं देगा तो ज़कात आएगी नहीं उसके ऊपर. Number 4, merchandise for business equal to the value of nisab. This is easy. Businessmen having the inventory inside the warehouse or inside the shops. Livestock, maweshi hona. Income of properties, if it is equal to the value of nisab. Rent coming from properties, rent coming from your cars, not the property itself, not the car or a taxi itself, the rent that you are earning from it. Yes, if it's a piece of land, parcel of land, or it's a house that you bought with the intention of investment, and you are not earning rent on it, you are waiting for the market to go up and then you are going to sell it. So then the value of the whole house will be taken into consideration, whether it's gone down from the original price or whether it has gone up from the original price. The current price will be taken into consideration. But if you are earning rent from that property, then the value of the property is not calculated, the rent is calculated. And if you use rent every month, when the time of zakat comes, all the rent is gone. Aapne istemal hi kar liya, then sure no zakat on it. If it remains in the saving, then zakat will come on it. Income derived from a hiring business, kiraye pe cheezein di huyi hain, such as cars, vans, trucks. The value of these should be at least the amount which is shown under nisab. Now again the word nisab is used. We're going to learn inshallah in a few minutes what the nisab in today's date is. Types of wealth on which zakat is not farz. Any metal besides gold or silver, as long as it is not for business purposes. Okay? Imitation jewelry, the women folk use sometimes, zakat is not on it. Or any metal that is inside the house for personal use, zakat is not on it. Yes, any metal is for business use, then zakat is on it. Fixtures, fittings, or machinery of a shop, factory, delivery vehicle, which is used in the operation of a business, no zakat on it. Diamonds, pearls, and other precious stones or semi-precious stones which are for personal use, zakat is not on it. However, zakat is payable on the gold or silver used in jewelry with diamonds, pearls. A sister owns a diamond ring. Okay. Now zakat is not on the diamond itself. Zakat is only on the ring that is of gold or silver. No matter how precious a stone is, it's for personal use, there is no zakat on it. It's for business use, buying and selling, then you have to give zakat on it. Living quarters, meaning your own house, household furniture, personal clothing, whether they are in use or not. However, Islam does not justify extravagance. Somebody usually wears a smartwatch worth $50, but he has a Rolex also worth $2,000. He only takes it out on Jummah, or maybe when going in a wedding, or when going in graduation, or any specific occasion. Now this is extra, it's just lying there, he only wears it once a year. Does he have to give zakat on it? No, he doesn't have to give zakat on it, because it's personal need. But at the same time, there shouldn't be any israf. Israf karne ki bhi deen, kabhi deen ijazat nahi deta. There shouldn't be extravagance. Now nisab, what is nisab? The threshold line. The amount of wealth which makes one liable for zakat is called nisab. The threshold line, then when you hit it or when you cross it, you have to give zakat, that is nisab. Nisab is the threshold line which separates those who are obligated to give zakat from those who are not obligated to give zakat. In other words, nisab is the minimum amount of wealth whose owner is deemed to be wealthy in Islam, and zakat is obligatory on him. जिसके पास निसाब होगा उसको अमीर इस्लाम में समझा जाएगा, और जिसके पास निसाब नहीं होगा उसको दीन में गरीब समझा जाएगा. Whoever owns nisab is wealthy in the sight of Allah, Islamically speaking. Whoever does not own his nisab, then he is a poor person, money-wise speaking. Now 1 year has to pass on it. There are 3 different scenarios in which 1 year can pass. For example, we are passing through Shaban 1444 Hijri. For example, your zakat date is the 1st of Shaban, or you got money on the 1st of Shaban. On the 1st of Shaban last year, you had $2,000. Year passed and it kept on increasing or decreasing. 2,000, 3,000, 10,000, 50,000, 1,000, and today is the 18th of Shaban. For example, on the 1st of Shaban, it was $6,000. So last Shaban was 2,000, this Shaban is 6,000, and fluctuation took place. But it didn't go below the nisab, meaning didn't go below the threshold line. Then whatever is the balance in today's date, that is $6,000, you have to give zakat on it. पिछले साल पहली शाबान को $2,000 थे, फिर 10,000 बने, 50,000 बने, 1,00,000 बने, फिर कम होना शुरू हो गए, ऊपर नीचे पूरा साल होता रहा. इस साल आज 18 शाबान है, इस साल पहली शाबान को आपके पास $6,000 थे. अब जितना बीच में उतार चढ़ाव हुआ उसका कोई एतबार नहीं है, बस पहली शाबान को 6,000 थे, आपको 6,000 रुपये ज़कात देनी है. चाहे एक दिन पहले 50,000 निकल गए हों, चाहे एक दिन पहले 50,000 आ गए हों, उस तारीख में जितने पैसे होंगे पूरी पे ज़कात देनी पड़ेगी. Whether you lost $50,000 24 hours ago, or whether you earned $50,000 24 hours ago, whatever is the balance on that day which ends your 1 year, you have to give zakat on that amount. In other words, fluctuations will not be taken into consideration as long as it does not go beyond the threshold, below the threshold line. Let's fix the number for a threshold line so it becomes easy. $500, for example, is the nisab. So as long as your balance is above 500 and then fluctuating, this is what I told you is going to happen. Second scenario, it goes below 500. Last Shaban you started from 2000, it hit $50 somewhere in the middle of the year. But again it bounced back. And this Shaban you had $1,500. Again you have to give zakat on the whole $1,500. This going up and down will not be taken into consideration, though you went below your threshold line also. But still, you still have to give zakat based on the balance on the first of Shaban. Third scenario, $2,000, you hit zero in the middle of the year. You hit zero in the middle of the year, so now your credit history is reset. You have no credit history anymore. Now, whenever you again gather $500, then your year will restart once again. Now again you became wealthy. You are now in the category of poor since you hit zero. Once again, when you get 500, you will become a new, fresh, wealthy person. First day will start from there, and whenever that 1 year ends, then you have to give zakat. 3 सूरतें बनती हैं, चौथी कोई सूरत नहीं बनती. 3 सूरतें क्या बनती हैं? $2,000 थे, साल में ऊपर नीचे हुआ, 1 साल के बाद $6,000 हो गए. ऊपर नीचे होने का एतबार नहीं करेंगे, 6,000 पे हम ज़कात देंगे, बशर्ते के निसाब से नीचे ना गया हो. निसाब क्या है? मिसाल के तौर पे $500. दूसरा सिनेरियो, आप निसाब से भी नीचे चले गए, साल के बीच में $50 रह गए, एक मौका आया, लेकिन फिर साल के ख़त्म होने पे बैलेंस देखा तो फिर $1,500 है, तो आप उसी 1,500 के ऊपर ज़कात देंगे. तीसरा सिनेरियो ये है कि आपने जीरो हिट कर दिया, सारे पैसे खत्म हो गए, या उल्टा अकाउंट डेबिट में चला गया, चेक बाउंस हो गया, तो अब आपकी सारी तारीख खत्म हो गई, आप गरीब बन गए, गोया कि कभी अमीर थे ही नहीं आप. अब जब दोबारा आपके पास $500 आएंगे तो फिर आपका नए सिरे से साल शुरू होगा, गोया कि आप दोबारा अमीर बने हैं. अब तो ये उमूमन 3 सूरतें होती हैं मेरे और आपके साथ, कोई चौथी सूरत नहीं है. तो पहली 2 सूरतों के अंदर ज़कात लागू होगी, जो भी बैलेंस हो उस पे. तीसरी सूरत में डेट चेंज हो जाएगी, जब 1 साल हो जाएगा फिर ज़कात आएगी. Zakat is due on whatever wealth is in one's possession on the date of when the year ends. It is not necessary that any particular asset remains in one's possession for a full year. ये जो आम तौर पे लोग कहते हैं ना कि ये जो बीच में पैसा आया, इस पे तो पूरा 1 साल गुजरा नहीं है, इस पे तो 5 दिन गुजरे हैं, 1 महीना गुजरा है, तो इसका शरीयत एतबार नहीं करेगी. चाहे 5 दिन गुजरे हो, चाहे 24 घंटे गुजरे हो, चाहे 300 दिन गुजर गए हो, बस उस दिन ये पैसा है आपके पास, उस पे आपको ज़कात देनी है. Okay, now what is the nisab? How are we going to calculate nisab? Hadith tells us the nisab of gold and the nisab of silver. These are the true nisabs that are mentioned in hadith, and the nisab of every other asset in the world is based on these two. शरीयत हमें 2 निसाब देती है, सोने का निसाब, चांदी का निसाब, और इन्हीं 2 निसाबों पर दुनिया में जितनी माल की किस्में हैं, चाहे वो स्टॉक्स हो, चाहे वो प्रॉपर्टी हो, चाहे वो पैसा हो, चाहे वो बॉन्ड्स हो, जो भी, चाहे वो हलाल हो हराम हो, सारी मिसालें ले लें, लेकिन उसका एतबार इस सोने और चांदी पे ही होगा. शरीयत इसको असल माल मानती है. So the nisab of gold and silver as fixed by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is as follows: 87.48 grams of gold, which is equivalent to 2.81 troy ounces of gold. If somebody has 2.81 troy ounces of gold, this means he completes the nisab of gold. 612.36 grams of silver, or 19.7 troy ounces of silver. In this country we use troy ounces, back home we used to use grams, so that's why both calculations are there. So if somebody has approximately 20 troy ounces of silver, he completes the nisab of silver. Now the question arises, what about money? We have to make it easy. None of us usually buy gold or silver, rarely people deal in it. It's the women folk who do this. So what about men? How are we going to say that what is the nisab for money, for cash? So the ulama say, whichever metal is cheaper in that age and era, that will be considered the criteria for nisab. Nisab will be based on that. And in history, usually silver is cheaper. Today also silver is cheaper. So that's why the nisab of money, assets, stock, property will be based on the value of silver. How are we going to check the value of silver? Go online, kitco.com or whatever the checking website is. Then you check the current rate. For example, I checked it today. So after Jummah, the silver rate in the spot market today, the 10th of March 2023 was 1 troy ounces of silver was $20.50. So $20.50 multiplied by 19.7 troy ounces of silver comes to $405. So if somebody has a savings of $405 in whatever form or shape, this means he's wealthy. He has to give zakat, though he's a student, as long as he's fulfilling those 8 conditions. But if somebody has $375, then in today's date he doesn't have to give zakat. Maybe he can receive zakat. Okay. So this is the nisab. Maybe in Ramadan, those of us whose year ends in Ramadan, when they take out the zakat in Ramadan, check the price online. And the easy way, you don't have to do the calculation, you can go on Sharia Board's website, Sharia Board New York, SBNY, Sharia Board New York, it's SBNY stands for it, sbny.org. And scroll down, you'll get the current nisab for that date, gold nisab, silver nisab. So choose the silver nisab, whatever it is, you can then do your calculation. So very easy. So the nisab that we are going to discuss today is $405. As prices change frequently, the current market price of gold and silver must be used to calculate the dollar amount of nisab once the year finishes. If one has only gold assets, the nisab for gold must be used to see if he is liable for zakat. Similarly, if one has only silver assets, he is to use the nisab for silver. If one has different types of zakatable assets, some gold, some silver, some stocks, some savings account, some checkings account, some in the pocket, then how is he going to choose the nisab? He has to take the silver nisab, which is the cheaper one. Okay. तो किसी के पास 1 तोला सोना है घर में, अब वो सोने के निसाब को तो नहीं पहुंच सकता, सोने के लिए तो जो है 7.5 तोला होना चाहिए. किसी के पास 20 तोले चांदी है, वो चांदी के निसाब को भी नहीं पहुंच रहा, चांदी का निसाब तो 52.5 तोले चांदी है. तो अधूरा निसाब सोने का भी है, अधूरा निसाब चांदी का भी है, $10 जेब में भी है, $100 घर के दराज में भी है. अब वो किसी एतबार से ज़कात के निसाब पे नहीं पहुंच रहा. $110 कहाँ, $400 कहाँ, $110. इस हिसाब से भी गरीब है, सोने के हिसाब से भी गरीब है, चांदी के हिसाब से भी गरीब है. अब वो तो बच गया ज़कात से, तो नहीं, वो बच नहीं सकता. वो सोने की भी कीमत निकाले, वो चांदी की भी कीमत निकाले, $110 को भी उसमें जोड़े, तो बहुत आराम से वो 405 से ऊपर पहुंच जाएगा. उसको ज़कात देनी पड़ेगी. ये मतलब है सारे अधूरे निसाबों को मिलाया जाएगा. What does it mean? The nisab for gold is 2.9 troy ounce. Somebody has half a troy ounce of gold. And the nisab for silver is 19.7 troy ounces. Somebody has 10 troy ounces of silver. So his nisab for gold is also incomplete. His nisab for silver is also incomplete. And he has only $200. His nisab for cash is also incomplete, because the nisab for cash is 405 as we just calculated. So is he free of zakat? Apparently he is. But Sharia says no. Everything is incomplete. Join all the 3 different types of assets. Value them, and automatically their value will cross 405. So now he has to give zakat. Okay? Sometimes this happens. ये हमारे मुमालिक में ये मसला आता है. राशन के पैसे घर में नहीं होते और 20 तारीख को पैसे ख़त्म हो गए. हम उनको ज़कात दे देते हैं, लेकिन सोना उन्होंने घर में रखा होता है, चांदी घर में होती है, फ्लैट स्क्रीन टीवी घर के अंदर होता है, हर बच्चे के पास आईफोन भी होता है, और उनको हम ज़कात दे रहे होते हैं. कैसे लगेगी ज़कात उनके ऊपर? 1 लाख का आईफोन इस्तेमाल कर रहा है वो बंदा, वो 5,000 का फ़ोन भी इस्तेमाल कर सकता है, लेकिन फिर भी 1 लाख का वो आईफोन ले रहा है और ज़कात भी वो वसूल कर रहा है. तो हमारी भी ज़कात ज़ाया जा रही है, वो भी गुनहगार हो रहा है. अगरचे खाने को ना हो उसके घर में, आईफोन क्यों लेके वो बैठा हुआ है? बेचे आईफोन को, 5,000 का फ़ोन इस्तेमाल करे, फिर अगर खाने को ना हो तो फिर वो ज़कात ले। यानी बहुत नाजुक मसले हैं ये ज़कात के। The rate of zakat. How much has Allah fixed zakat? The rate of zakat which was fixed by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is 2.5%, meaning the 40th part of something. That means 2.5 cents per dollar. So out of $1, 2.5 cents. Zakat is calculated by subtracting the liabilities due immediately or in the near future. We already mentioned this. If some bills are due, then deduct the bill amount and then you give zakat. Here the question comes, somebody has a mortgage on the car, financing for example, mortgage on the house. Now if he considers that mortgage as loan, then every house owner doesn't have to give zakat. सारे घर के मालिक गरीब हो जाएंगे बेचारे। वो तो 3-3 लाख के कर्जे के अंदर, 5-5 लाख के कर्जे के अंदर डूबे हुए हैं। वो कर्जा ही नहीं मानती शरीयत उसको। Islam, these long-term loans, Islam doesn't consider them loans. Only short-term loans are considered loans in deen. Otherwise, then nobody will give zakat. And how will the poor people get their share? So the maximum we can do, if one owns a house and your payment for that month is already due, you can deduct that payment amount. 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, only for that month. $300 your installment for car financing for that month is already due, you can deduct that amount, but you cannot deduct the whole loan from it. The method of paying zakat. How should we pay zakat? Zakat should be given as soon as possible after it becomes due. Just give me like a few seconds. Zakat should be given as soon as possible after it becomes due, rather than delaying it or waiting for Ramadan. It is possible that death occurs and thus leads to failure in fulfilling one's obligations. As soon as zakat is obligatory, we should give it. Sometimes zakat becomes obligatory in Rajab or Shaban, and people say, I will take out in Ramadan. They do it with a sincere intention, so I get more reward, because in Ramadan, every one good deed is multiplied by how many times? 70 times. So you give $1 in zakat as if you gave $70 in zakat. But that is when zakat is due in Ramadan. If zakat is not due in Ramadan, it is before, then don't delay. Yes, if you cannot find a poor person, that's fine. But if you find a poor person, then don't wait. You need time to do tahqiq, research, take your time, but don't delay it without a valid reason. Zakat must be paid on a loan lent to others when the loan is received back. We already discussed this. Zakat of all previous years during which this money was lended must be calculated and paid. We already mentioned this. It is recommended that zakat on this loan be paid every year as long as it is acknowledged, so it doesn't become difficult to pay all the previous years' zakat once it is received. We discussed this also. A poor person cannot be paid for his work. A poor person cannot be given salary from zakat, nor can zakat be given in payment of one's services, except when an Islamic government pays salaries to persons appointed to collect zakat. A servant or a driver or a person or a maid inside the house deserves zakat. So we say, okay, let's give her or his salary from zakat. This is not correct. Zakat cannot be given in return for some goods or services, as the wording is used here in tax deductible terminology. There shouldn't be any goods or services in exchange. Zakat is a one-sided thing, and the person deserves it because of his financial status. This is something to keep in mind. The only case in which zakat can be given in salary is, we are going to learn in the next few minutes, is those amilin, those people who have been designated as collectors and who go home to home and collect zakat for the Islamic government. This used to happen in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, as long as the Islamic system was implemented, a zakat collector would come, he would show you his badge, he would have access to whatever you have in your house, he would do the calculation, he would give you the receipt that this is your zakat paid, he would collect the zakat from you, and he would go and submit that zakat in the Baytul Mal, the Islamic treasury, which is no more today. Zakat will only be valid if the recipient is made the unconditional owner of the amount. This is referred to as tamlik. As we said, to make a person malik, owner is necessary. You give the money to that person and then allow him in whatever way he wants to use it. This is the meaning of make him an owner. Okay? If you don't make him an owner, then zakat will not be accepted. For example, let me give you an example. A poor child is studying in an Islamic school or in a madrasa. He is eligible for zakat, he cannot pay his fees. And the school collects zakat for him. The school cannot collect zakat for him. The madrasa cannot collect zakat for him. Because zakat should go to that boy, to that child. But the child gives the wakalat, the representation to the madrasa in the beginning of the year that you are capable of collecting zakat for me and then putting it in my fees. So that's why the madrasa collects it. If the madrasa doesn't get this thing from this consent from the child, then they cannot collect zakat. This is the meaning that you should make the person owner of it. Zakat cannot be given or used for the construction of a masjid, madrasa, hospital, well, bridge, or any public amenity. Masjids cannot be built and maintained and madrasa building, hospital builds, well, bridge, road, anything cannot be made with zakat because these are public amenities. You are not making somebody an owner of your money. Nobody owns the masjid, Allah owns it. Nobody owns the madrasa, Allah owns it. So your zakat is not going in anybody's hands. So that's why it's not correct to use it in zakat. Okay. Poor adult students can be given a grant from zakat. The zakat must be given to the student personally. If the student is not an adult, then his shari'i wakil, parents or legal guardian must be eligible to receive zakat, and they must be given possession of the amounts. Now a 7-year-old boy or girl is in the madrasa. Now, if he or she doesn't own money, do we consider them eligible for zakat? No, because they are not an adult. Every child who is a minor, his father's status will be considered in determining whether they are eligible for zakat or not. If the father is eligible, then zakat can be given to them. If father is not eligible, zakat cannot be given. Yes, a child is 12 years old and he is already an adult, then no need to check the father. If he has enough money, he cannot be given zakat. If he doesn't have enough money, he can be given zakat. Zakat can be paid in the same material on which it is due. For example, you want to pay zakat in gold, you can give it as gold. You want to pay it in clothing, stitch clothing and give it to the poor people who are eligible for zakat, very good. You want to give it by buying groceries and giving them groceries every month, very good, give it to them. In whatever form or shape you want to give zakat, you can give as long as you make them the owner of that thing. The authority can be delegated to another person or an organization for the distribution of zakat in order to utilize it in accordance with the laws of Sharia. You want to send zakat back home, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. You're not going yourself. Somebody is going from here. Or you know an organization back home that is a trustworthy organization. Online you sell the money to them. This means you are making them your representative and wakil. Aap unko apna wakil bana rahe hain. And then now they can distribute zakat on your behalf, that's fine. Now when we give zakat to organizations, na'uzubillah, I'm not criticizing anyone, but this is what I have first-hand seen and I know when I ask these questions. Every organization works. They need money to pay their employees. They need money to run their offices. They have their bills. They don't run for free. They have a living. So they deduct operational costs from the donation you give. Some deduct 4%, some deduct 10%, some 12% also. And they have their own laws. You should ask them. There are some organizations that don't deduct anything from zakat. They only deduct from sadaqah. So that's fine. Even if you give $100 of sadaqah, they deduct $11 out of it. At least $89 are in sadaqah. But if you give $100 zakat and they deduct $11 for operation, you think I have given zakat $100, but you only gave $89 of zakat. And $11 is still due on you, and Allah will hold you responsible on the Day of Judgment for it. So that's why check what their policy is. If their policy is 5%, give them $105. $5 from regular money and $100 from zakat. There are, alhamdulillah, organizations that have 100% donation policy. I know such that are working in the US also. I know such that are working overseas also. From this platform, it's not appropriate for me to give their names, but if somebody wants to know, I can let you know that you can send them online money, but alhamdulillah, they use their operational costs from regular funding. When you give $100 to them for zakat, they say, can you give $1 extra so we can use it for our operational costs? They give you an option. You take it or you don't take it, they will put your whole $100 in zakat. If a person requests someone to give a certain amount on his behalf as zakat and the sum is given out, the discharge of the zakat will be valid. The sum given will be due upon the one who made this request. You told someone you're going to Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, give $100 of zakat on my behalf. Once you come, I'll give it to you. Now you have to give it to him. When he gives, since you made him trustworthy, he gives, zakat will be accepted, you have to pay him. If an agent is given zakat for distribution and he does not distribute it, the zakat will not be fulfilled. And the sin of not discharging the obligatory duty of zakat will remain upon whom it was due. You made somebody your agent, किसी को आपने वकील बनाया, and he did not distribute zakat, वो भाग गया, उसने zakat ही अदा नहीं की, and now you come to know, you have to again take out zakat because you trusted that person and he did not fulfill your trust, so now you have to give it again. So that's why we have to be careful to whom we are giving this duty. Zakat should not be paid by estimation. Zakat should be exactly calculated. अंदाजे से नहीं हिसाब करना चाहिए. Exact हिसाब करके बल्कि 10, 15, $20 ज़्यादा निकाल लेने चाहिए. We should do exact calculation and take out another 120, 20, 30, 50 extra dollars to be on the safe side. 1 cent of zakat remains in your mal, the evil effect comes in your money. एक सेंट भी अगर ज़कात की हमारे माल में रह गई, हराम तो नहीं बनेगा माल, लेकिन उसकी नहूसत आएगी, बीमारियां आएंगी, मसाइल आएंगे, परेशानियां आएंगी घर के अंदर. सारा मसला क्या है? ज़कात पूरी नहीं निकाली थी, क्योंकि वो हमारा माल ही नहीं है, वो तो अल्लाह ने गरीबों का हक हमारे माल में रखा है. हम तो जुल्म कर रहे हैं कि किसी और का माल लेके बैठे हुए हैं. Why do these calamities come when we don't take out zakat? Because it's not our money. Allah gave us this share so we can give it to the poor. So in other words, we are oppressing the poor people by snatching their share and keeping it with us. That's why evil effects come in life when a person does not fully calculate zakat. Gold or silver jewelry must be weighed accurately for zakat purposes. The best thing is, whenever you buy gold, take a receipt from the jeweler and tell him to write the weight of it. So every year you can take out that receipt, the weight multiplied by the current price, you know the value, 2.5% of it. Or if you didn't used to keep a track, go to the jeweler sometime in the middle of the year, tell him to weigh all the items, write a total or whatever the case is, then that weight will stay with you for your life as long as you have that thing. Once you sell it, you can take it out. To whom zakat can be given? Allah mentions 8 types of people in the Quran. The ayah of Surah Tawbah, إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةِ قُلُوبُهُمْ وَفِي الرِّقَابِ وَالْغَارِمِينَ وَفِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ. These are the 8 categories. What does it mean? Number 1, fuqara. The definition of fuqara is the plural of faqir. Urdu में भी फकीर कहते हैं. एक होता है फ़कीर, एक होता है मिस्कीन। फ़कीर वो है जिसको पता है कि मैं आज का दिन तो खा लूँगा, कल के लिए भी थोड़ा है। मिस्कीन वो होता है जो फ़कीर से भी नीचे हो, उसको ये भी नहीं पता कि अगले वक्त में मैं क्या खाऊँगा। Faqir is a poor person, but miskin is a destitute, much lower than the faqir. Fuqara is the plural of faqir, people who are poor and who possess more than their basic needs, but do not possess wealth equal to nisab. So if somebody in today's date has $200, that's the only saving he has, Islamically he's a faqir. But if he has $405, he's no more a faqir. Al-miskin, people who are destitute and extremely needy to the extent that they do not have enough for their daily food ration also. Two categories. Third, al-amilin. Amil, plural, amilin. Those people who are appointed by an Islamic government to collect zakat, as I gave an example. It is not necessary that this be a needy person. Now, the amil can have $1,000 of savings, but he is not getting zakat because he is poor. He is getting zakat as a salary. So for him, doesn't have to be poor. It's fine. Whoever is appointed can be an amil. Number 4, al-mu'allafatul qulub. Those people that have recently accepted Islam and are in need of basic necessities, who would benefit from encouragement by the Muslims, and it would help to strengthen their faith in Islam. People reverts, but they are poor reverts. They need zakat. We should keep them specially in mind, because this will bring them closer to Islam, because you're helping them, you're providing them for their needs. These are mu'allafatul qulub. Number 5, riqab. Raqaba gardan ko कहते हैं, यानी गुलाम मुराद है इससे. Riqab comes from raqaba, which means the neck, meaning slaves are meant here. Those slaves that are permitted to work for returning the money, and they have an agreement from their owners to purchase their freedom on payment of fixed amounts. Back when slavery was there was a slave in the category of mukatib. Mukatib means the owner says, you earn in the next 5 years, earn $500,000. And give it to me. Once you fulfill $500,000, you are free for life. So now he earns money. He tries to gather his 500,000 as soon as possible. Now if you help him with zakat, so he can buy out his freedom, you should help him with zakat. Number 6, al-gharimin. Gharama, qarze ka hona. Gharimin comes from a person who are in debt. Those who have a debt and do not possess any other wealth or goods with which they can repay that which they owe. It is conditional that this debt was not created for any un-Islamic or sinful purpose. If somebody is in debt because of an un-Islamic thing, then you cannot give him zakat to take off his debt. Give him regular money or sadaqah. But generally he is in debt, and for example, somebody has a saving of $5,000. You cannot give him zakat, but he has a debt of $50,000. So he's still in debt for 45,000 minus 5,000. You can give him zakat so he can pay off his debt with it. Okay. Fi sabilillah, 7 category, yani Allah ke raste mein. Fi sabilillah means those people that have to carry out a farz obligatory act and are subsequently, due to loss of wealth, are unable to complete that farz. Somebody is in the path of Allah acquiring Islamic knowledge. He is fi sabilillah, and he doesn't have enough money. You can give him zakat. Somebody is fighting in a battlefield in the path of Allah for deen. He has no money. You can support these people with zakat. This is the meaning. Now, I'll quickly just touch on it and then move forward to avoid any confusion. With due respect, today sometimes we go to certain masjids or certain ulama and scholars say that since we are living in a non-Muslim country, it is permissible to give zakat for the building of the masjid. It is permissible to give zakat for maintaining an Islamic school. It is permissible to give zakat to build a madrasa. Why? This is not a Muslim country, it's a non-Muslim country. Yes, some contemporary ulama have given this permission, but the view of the ummah for the last 1400 years is not this. The traditional view is zakat is only in these 8 categories, and we cannot take it out from it. All the four Imams are of this view. Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahimahullah. Now the question comes, how do these contemporary ulama say? What's their daleel? What's their evidence? They say fi sabilillah is general. The word fi sabilillah includes anything that is the path of Allah. In a non-Muslim country, Islamic school is also striving to give Islamic education to kids. So this is fi sabilillah. So those ulama who say no, they say the answer to this daleel is, if we generalize fi sabilillah, then why did Allah mention 8 different categories? If fi sabilillah could have been generalized, then na'uzubillah, Allah just wasted the words. Not a single harf in the Quran is without a reason. If we say a single letter in the Quran is without purpose, we leave the fold of Islam. Okay. So generalizing na'uzubillah brings this huge objection that there was no need for 8 categories. That's why we cannot generalize this. So this is an academic discussion. We respect both sides, but the thing is, this is not the correct view, what I'm trying to say. If somebody is comfortable with the other view, that's fine, but traditionally speaking, we don't take it as the correct view. Good point, there is no ownership also here. It's not going in the hands of anyone. It's the masjid or the madrasa or the Islamic school. 8. Ibn Sabil, Allah ke raaste ka banda. The son of the path of Allah. What does it mean? Those who are travelers and during the course of their journey do not possess basic necessities. Though they are well-to-do back home, they could be given zakat in order to complete their travel needs to return home. For example, you are traveling to Maryland by road. Somebody took the money out of your pocket or your wallet fell down. Now you don't even have enough money to put gas in your car so you can drive back to New York. You are stuck in halfway. You are allowed to ask for zakat. Zakat can be given to you. There is no ATM. For example, assuming you cannot use your ATM card also. No phones also. You cannot wire money anymore. In other words, you are stuck. Now you have $1 million in New York. But here you don't have enough money even to go back home. Forget about renting a one-night hotel. So you are eligible to receive zakat. At this much zakat, with which easily you can return back home. Because you are a traveler. Shari traveler is who? 48 miles or more of travel makes you an Islamic traveler. If your travel is less than 48 miles, it's not considered traveling. To whom zakat can be given? It's getting long, but these are the details, that's why I'm mentioning this. To whom zakat can be given? Kisko zakat di ja sakti hai? All the above mentioned recipients, जो Allah ने 8 zikr की और Allah 8 categories Allah mentioned, everybody can be given zakat as long as they do not possess the nisab. When giving zakat, one's needy relatives should be given preference. If somebody is, when we take out zakat, the people who deserve the most of our zakat are those who are blood relatives. Secondly, those who are nearby extended relatives. Third, those who are in the community. आज अलमिया क्या है, मैं भी उसमें शामिल हूँ. हम अपने मोहल्ले में नहीं देते हैं, देखते हैं कि किसको ज़रूरत है और अपने मुल्कों में भेज रहे होते हैं. कोई हर्ज नहीं है मुल्कों में भेजना, वहाँ ज़्यादा गरीब लोग हैं. लेकिन पिछले 8-10 साल से जो मुल्क के हालात हैं, खुसूसन पिछले 2-3 साल से, यहाँ पे कितने लोग हैं जिनको ज़कात जो है वो लगती है और सदक़ात जो है लगते हैं. So first we should look on the people who are near us. Allah says in the Quran, لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ. Your money, your wealth, your help should go to the people as-sa'il, who ask you for help, wal-mahroom, and those who are quiet also. You should inquire about them, जिसको सफ़ेद पोश उर्दू में कहते हैं. You should inquire about them, that who is eligible for zakat or sadaqah, and then give them. सिर्फ जो ज़ाहिरी नज़र आ रहा है उस पर हमारी जिम्मेदारी पूरी नहीं हो जाती. अगर हमें पता नहीं चला और हमारे रिश्तेदारों में, हमारे पड़ोसियों में कोई गरीब निकला, यानी हमारी जितना हमारे बस में है उतनी तहकीक हमने नहीं की, तो क़यामत में पकड़ होगी हमारी. When giving zakat, to avoid embarrassment, it should be given without saying that it is zakat. You don't have to tell the people it's zakat. Just hide it. There is great reward in giving zakat to poor people who are striving in the way of Allah. those who are engaged in religious knowledge, students of Islamic knowledge, whether Islamic school, whether madrasa, or to religious institution, madaris, where poor or needy students are being cared for. Care should be taken that only such institutions are given zakat which use it according to Sharia. Those who are Islamic learning institutions, they are also given preference to receive zakat as long as they use zakat properly. A child of a wealthy father cannot be given zakat because a minor is in the hukum of his father, in the category of his father. When such a child becomes mature and does not own wealth to the value of nisab, then he may be given zakat. Zakat can be given to whom? Brothers, sisters, nephews, nieces, uncles, aunts, step-grandfathers, step-grandmothers, father-in-law, mother-in-law. All of them can be given zakat as long as they don't have $405 in today's date. Those of the relatives who cannot be given zakat, or those regular people in the community who cannot be given zakat, you cannot give zakat to a Sayyid person. Sayyid is one who is from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because zakat cannot be taken by them. Regular sadaqah or donation you can give them. Zakat cannot be given to antecedents such as parents, grandfather. In the same manner, one's descendants such as children and grandchildren cannot be given zakat. Zakat cannot be given upwards and downwards. Meaning you cannot give zakat to your mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter. It can be given sideways, brothers and sisters, but it cannot be given upwards and downwards. Likewise, a husband cannot give zakat to his wife, and his wife cannot give zakat to her husband. Otherwise, तो आपस में ही लेते रहेंगे zakat. Zakat contributions cannot be given to such institutions or organizations that do not give the rightful recipients possession of zakat, but instead use zakat funds for construction, investment, or salaries. If we come to know that any institution, na'uzubillah, uses zakat for salaries or construction, don't give them zakat. Zakat must be given in the ownership of eligible individuals. Zakat cannot be given to non-Muslims. Sadaqah can be given to non-Muslims, nafil sadaqah. Zakat cannot be given. If one cannot determine whether the recipient is needy or not, it is better to make sure before giving zakat to him or her. If zakat is given without inquiry and subsequently it is known that the recipient is wealthy, the zakat is not valid. It has to be given again. If we give zakat to someone without research, without doing the effort, and we come to know that he is wealthy, then we have to give zakat again to him. Okay. So that's why make sure. If you are not sure, don't give him zakat. Zakat will not be fulfilled by purchasing books for an institution or land purchase for public utility and made waqf. Somebody bought a piece of land and made it an endowment. Make a masjid, make a hospital, make a madrasa on it. You cannot give zakat like this. Likewise, you cannot buy books and give it to the madrasa that these books are from zakat. No. You have to give the money and let the student buy the books if he wants to buy the books. There are certain questions that are coming in my mind also, but intentionally I'm not answering them to make it short. So those brothers who want to leave and are waiting for the presentation to end can leave, inshallah. And if anybody, I'm here. If anybody who has any questions, we'll sit down and answer it, inshallah. Zakat cannot be given for the kafan of a dead person. Why? What? He cannot afford $8,000, but he cannot give zakat in funeral expenses. Why? He's dead, he cannot become the owner. Okay, so these are very technical things. Zakat cannot be given as salary or amount due upon a contract, as we just discussed. Zakat cannot be given to construct a masjid or school. A dead person's death cannot be paid from zakat. Somebody passed away and he has loan on him, and you want to pay off his loan, use sadaqah and regular money. Still zakat cannot be paid because he is not becoming malik. It's going directly in the hand of the person who lended the money. Zakat on merchandise. Articles that are for sale are referred to as merchandise. The nisab for zakat on merchandise is the same as that for cash. You have merchandise worth $405 or more, you have to calculate 2.5% of the value of the merchandise. Zakat is first on the following items when calculating a balance sheet. Stock in trade, goods in transit. The goods are on the way, they are on the airplane, they are on the ship, and you have already paid for them. This is the meaning, goods in transit. Cash on hand, cash in the bank, savings account, fixed deposits, stocks, property, claims that are acknowledged, or any other types of saving. We have to give zakat on everything. All these must be added as one amount. Somebody has something in the savings, something in the checkings, $5,000 worth of stocks. Gather everything on the paper. Everything should be added, and after subtracting the creditor's amount or any other liabilities, the balance must be added to the capital. Zakat must then be given on the combined figure. Zakat should be given on the capital that exists on that date, which includes the profit. For example, at the beginning of the year, the capital is 20,000. When the year ends, a profit of 5,000 is shown. Now 5,000 plus 20,000, zakat will be given on 25,000. Zakat on merchandise. A bad debt is recovered and it is equal to or exceeds the nisab, then zakat on all the past years must be given. We discussed it. If one has various different types of merchandise, then the total value of all the goods should be calculated. If it is equal to or exceeds the value of nisab, then it will be necessary to give zakat. If at the beginning of the year one has the full nisab and during the year the amount decreases, and by the end of the year possession of the full nisab is regained, then it will be necessary to give zakat on this amount regardless of fluctuations in the middle. We already mentioned this. If one mixes halal and haram merchandise, दोनों किस्म का माल बेचता है. If one mixes halal and haram merchandise in a shop or warehouse, and the amount is equal to or exceeds the nisab at the end of the year, it will still be necessary to give zakat. It is necessary to calculate the price of merchandise at the current wholesale price. Zakat should be calculated on these figures. Somebody has an inventory inside a store. Is he going to calculate the retail price or the wholesale price? So the ulama say no retail price. He has to calculate the wholesale price and then give zakat, or another way is also there. When you are selling a running business, then the buyer comes and you say, all this inventory in this as is, I'm selling this inventory for $50,000. So in one instant, if you buy all the inventory, it's for $50,000. So this is another way of calculating zakat. So either the wholesale price or the instant value of that entire inventory, दोनों सूरतों में zakat. कि अगर यकमुश इस माल को बेच दिया जाए तो इसकी क्या कीमत होगी, या फिर होलसेल प्राइस निकाल लें. कारोबारी अफराद ऐसा करेंगे. अगर वो रिटेल प्राइस का एतबार करेंगे तो उनका नुकसान होगा, क्योंकि हो सकता है कल को सस्ती बेचनी पड़े उनको वो चीज़. If a few people are partners in a company, and if any one share of the partners is equal to or exceeds nisab, it will be necessary for the partner to give zakat. Zakat on stocks must be calculated on the day your year ends, whether they have gone down or whether they have gone up. Whatever the value of that stock is on that day, you have to give zakat. Zakat is due at the current price of shares held in the company. Machinery, land, fixtures and fittings, furniture, buildings are exempt from zakat. One is allowed to subtract these from the total assets. This could be obtained from the company's annual report. Somebody wants to go in a lot of detail. He say, my stock is worth $20. But at the same time, you get the annual report of the company whose stock you have. It gives you what's the value of the machinery, meaning liquid assets and frozen assets. So you can minus these assets, which are furniture, buildings, machinery, fitting, fixtures, from that amount based on the report and whatever the value, if you want to really go in that much detail. When zakat is given on a capital amount once, and thereafter if the same amount remains with the owner until the following year, then zakat will be due again. Okay, that's it. We finish here. So alhamdulillah, most part of the zakat thing is issued. The definition of zakat, who has to give zakat, who will receive zakat, what are the zakatable assets, and what are assets that are non-zakatable. If anybody has any questions, inshallah, they can ask. The program is finished now, so if anybody wants to leave also, they can leave. I'll recite the dua for the finishing of the majlis. So if anybody wants to leave, they can leave, inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdik, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wa iyyakum. जी Good. I would request the brothers just to stay for one more minute and then leave if anybody is leaving. As I gave an example, I'll come on that question inshallah exactly. You know, sometimes people, this happens back home and it's happening here also, that 5 members of the family, they have the latest 50-inch screen TV at home, which is not a necessity. I'm not saying anything TV being halal or haram here. No, I'm not talking about that. TV is not a necessity. You can live without a TV. Phone, you can buy a good working phone for $100, but you have an iPhone worth $800. So 5 family members, each have the latest iPhone, have a 50-inch screen TV at home, and they can buy furniture from the cheap furniture stores also, but they order furniture from Macy's. Okay. So then they are only earning $5,000. The rent is $3,500. Generally speaking, the ends don't meet. They come to the masjid or they come to you, I need zakat. I don't have money. And they are right, they don't have money. But why are you sitting on a leather sofa from Macy's? Buy a sofa for $200, $300, maybe cheap one. Why do you have an iPhone? One laptop is a necessity, or one laptop for a student is a necessity, or one desktop at home is a necessity. Every child has an iPad, this is not a necessity. So sometimes, I also use this sentence, when you don't have $405, you are eligible to receive zakat. This is not the criteria. Once you have less than $405, then we have to look how is your living. Are you extravagant or are you simple? If you are simple, then you are allowed to give zakat to that person. But he is extravagant, he cannot be given zakat. आप हजरात को याद होगा जो पुराने हैं, जब नया नया टीवी आया था पाकिस्तान में, उलमा का फतवा आया था कि जिसके घर में टीवी है उसको ज़कात नहीं लगेगी। क्यों आया था? उस ज़माने में 3-4 हज़ार निसाब होता था और टीवी 3-4 हज़ार $5,000 का होता था। तो खाने को ना हो लेकिन टीवी ज़रूर हो, या डिश का कनेक्शन हो, या एंटीना हो। तो अब इतने उस चीज़ के लिए पैसे हैं जो ज़रूरत नहीं है, तो ये बहुत बारीक मसले हैं जिसका ख्याल रखना पड़ता है। नाउ इंशाल्लाह, दिस वाज व्हाट आई फॉरगॉट टू मेंशन। जी No, if genuinely, if you got it for free and you have not spent the money, then it's fine. What we are saying here is, for example, if a family is coming, is asking you for zakat, we try to, the question is, what if somebody, for example, got an iPhone? Sometimes companies give their employees free iPhones, or by whatever deal he gets it for free. And so how are we now going to make this an objection to block zakat by blocking zakat for him? The thing is, we have to do inquiry as much as possible. If they come for zakat to us from outside or whatever way, we try to inquire as much as possible. And if we are satisfied, alhamdulillah, that there are no barriers, we go ahead and give it. But still, if we commit an error, then Allah will forgive us. But if we just take it easy without inquiring, then the problem might come in. The question from Brother Naeem was that if a widow, there is no one earning for her, and she owns her own house, can we give her zakat? Owning the house would not block her from zakat. Once again, hopefully no extravagant items are also at home. So if these barriers are not there, even if she has a car, because that's become a necessity right now. She has all the, I mean, she has a car, she has a cell phone, she has these things that people might think she should not have, but these are allowed because these have become basic necessities. Still, she is eligible for zakat. We can still give her zakat. किसी और ने यहाँ से कोई पूछ रहा था पहले जी. Good question. You did not know that I have to calculate zakat, and 5 years after becoming rich, meaning owning nisab, you come to know that I have to give zakat. Then first of all, calculate for the year that is currently due, separate it from your money. You don't have to dispose zakat right away. Separate it and put it in an envelope or something, or at least write down the hisab that this much zakat I have to take out. Then start calculating every year. Look into the accounts if you can, bank statements, or if not, do some estimation that may little bit extra estimation that I had this much money in the last year and the year before it, and take out zakat as much as possible, as precise as possible, and a little extra on it. So in other words, you have to make qaza. Like we have to make qaza for salah, we have to take out zakat of all the previous years. If it's too much, we cannot give it, take out slowly as much as you can.
Compared to here's property and like back home, he has a couple of properties there. So how do you calculate the rent is coming?
Whether the property is here or it's back home, if the property is for the sake of property, you are not earning rent from it, it's just lying there so you can, when it becomes good, you can sell it. So now the calculation would be on the current value of that property, whether it's a parcel of land, whether it's a townhouse, or whether it's a shop or whatever. But you are earning rent from it, then you have to calculate rent on it. For example, if it's back home in rupees, then 2.5% of that rupees. You have to take out zakat here, convert it in dollars and take it out here, otherwise you can give it there. Ji. Oh, well, ji.
This one requires us in a multiple organization working in a like the earthquake area, and then they ask for the zakat money also. So in case whoever they are contributing the money and then they get the money from multiple sources and they go above the nisab. So how do you figure out in that situation,
Very good question. We are sending zakat to Turkey and Syria, and 95% alhamdulillah they are eligible for zakat, or 100% they are eligible for zakat, but assuming if they have enough, alhamdulillah, they got cash assistance, they got rations also. And a third organization comes in not inquiring how much they already have, and they give him zakat money, and they already have $500. So now, no, this is wrong. We cannot give them zakat. Give them extra help because they need extra help. They don't have a roof on their head. They are still living in a tent. How long will the rations last? So we should still help them. We should not stop their help. But we should not help from zakat, but rather help from regular money. Now the question is, we are trusting these organizations and they are not doing their work. So that's why regular charity, sadaqah, for example, I'm not criticizing again, whatever alhamdulillah zakat we collected in Muhammadi Masjid for Turkey and Syria, we are not giving it to anyone. We have designated one organization, it's taking time, but little bit we are giving zakat to them because alhamdulillah for the last 3 years we have been watching them and we know they are very diligent, and ulama go in the field with them and then they disperse zakat, though in current earthquake areas also. And regular sadaqah that the masjid collected, or regular donation that came, whomever we trusted, we gave it to them. So even if it goes extra to someone, at least it's fine. But zakat, so that's why whomever we give zakat, in whatever circumstances, we should really know how they are working. Otherwise, we should rather not give. जी. जी. से. जी.
जैसे कि अगर मैंने 2000 नहीं दिए, लेकिन मैंने भी कैलकुलेशन की, एग्जाम्पल के तौर पर नवंबर फर्स्ट को कि मेरी $1,00,000 है, तो $2,500 बचे, इंटरेस्ट बनना है, तो जो अगर पे करना हो तो मुझे $500 पे करने पड़ेंगे।
Somebody in for Turkey and Syria, alhamdulillah, he got motivated and he took out $2,000, did an intention of zakat on it, and he sent the money. But he hasn't calculated the zakat for this year yet. So now after 2 months, his 1 year finishes. So in advance, he gave $2,000. And once he calculates, his total zakat is 2,500. So yes, that 2,000 is counted, only 500 will be the balance.
One more question. Like you said about property. You said about the property value. Not only calculated when we sell the property, or it has to be paid every year.
If the property has been bought with the intention of just leaving it idle so we can benefit from it as a savings, or when time comes we will sell it and get the money, or as a business of buying and selling, then whatever 1 year passes on it and it's still not sold, so whatever the value on that 1 year date is, you have to give zakat on that.
Not even sold, you still have to get
You have to still give zakat. Sorry, माजरत आपका सवाल था. Short term, good question. What is an example of a short term loan? आप कुछ threshold line भी बोल रहे थे कुछ? अच्छा, short term loan is you borrowed money from someone कि मेरे ऊपर certain situations came on me. I need to pay certain taxes just for 3 months. Give me some amount. Or all of a sudden some emergency happened, you had to pay a medical bill, or you have to buy tickets to go home, may Allah forbid, and within 2-3 months you pay them. This is short term loan.
maximum like years, like
10-15 year not. No. For example, car financing is 5 years, so 5 years भी long term में आ जाता है.
थ्रेशोल्ड का क्वेश्चन है कि एक तो है जिसकी उसने शाबान टू शाबान
जी.
रमजान अपना कैलकुलेशन करनी है, लेकिन एक जो उसका थ्रेशोल्ड मीट करता है रीसेट हो जाएगा उस वक्त, उसको कंसीडर करना होगा व्हेन ही ड्रॉप एंड री
यानी जब जीरो हिट कर दिया,
नीचे, हाँ वो ड्रॉप
जीरो हिट हो गया.
हिसाब से नीचे आया,
हाँ.
जब दोबारा मीट करेगा फ्रॉम दैट डेट ही हैज टू रिमेंबर एंड राइट इट डाउन एंड
हाँ, वो करना होगा, लेकिन सिर्फ निसाब से नीचे आना जरूर. The question is, if savings drop below the nisab, meaning drop below $400, for example, during the year. So dropping below will not automatically reset. If it goes below 400 but it is $1 or above, it will not reset. Once it hits zero, then it will reset. And anha. But again, you will not write the date when it became zero. You will wait until you again gather $400 or $405. And on the day you gathered $405, जिस दिन जमा हो गए, that is the first day of your year.
sometimes you in negative also.
जी. If you go in negative, automatically everything is gone. If he's again the same thing is there. If he's mentally sick and he doesn't have savings of this much, then he can give. Sometimes what happens is people are really in need, but at the same time they keep an amount $1,000, $2,000 for bad times also. बुरे वक्त के लिए भी बचा के रखते हैं, which Islam says should be there. Abdullah ibn Masud radiyallahu anhu used to say कि in the times near the day of judgment, the best way to save your izzat and honor has to have enough money with you that you should not spread your hand in front of others. अब्दुल्ला इब्न मसूद रज़ियल्लाहु फरमाते हैं कि क़यामत के वक्त क़यामत के करीब ऐसा ज़माना आएगा कि आदमी जो है मालदार होगा तो अपनी इज्जत को जो है वो बचा सकेगा. यानी माल जमा करना, ज़कात देने के बाद, सारे हुकूक देने के बाद शरीयत इसको बुरा नहीं समझती. So if somebody saves a decent amount for bad times, whether in gold or in silver or in cash, Islam doesn't stop, or Islam doesn't stop that person. Islam doesn't even look down upon that person. Alhamdulillah, he's avoiding spreading hands in front of others. But if that amount is equal to nisab, then we cannot help them from zakat. Then we should help them from regular money. So the only barrier might come in your question is कि बस उनके पास savings ना हो. They shouldn't have savings. Somebody had a question, जी. If somebody wants to start a business with your zakat money, or you want to make him stand on his feet, which is very good, we should all try to do this. And if you give him 200,000 rupees or $5,000, he himself becomes eligible for nisab. You sent $1,000 once, he becomes zakat eligible. Now how are you going to send the remaining 4,000 to him? So that's why the ulama say, give him right away. Give him the whole money in his hand, or build a shop or buy a shop, then make him the malik or owner. In other words, या तो तैयार करके माल एकदम से इसके हाथ में दे दें, या फिर पूरा पैसा उसके हाथ में दे दें, यानी जो भी मुनासिब होता कि वो ज़ाया ना करे. टुकड़े टुकड़े में देंगे तो उसमें वो एक कराहियत ये आएगी कि ज़कात ना लेने के बावजूद, ना लेने के काबिल होने के बावजूद वो ज़कात ले रहे हैं. तो बिल्कुल ऐसा करने की इजाज़त है, लेकिन उसका फॉर्मेट यूँ हो जैसे. जी जी जी, हाँ, चाहे बना के हवाले कर दें. जी जी. Buy a car, give it to him, he can just use it as a taxi. Get a shop, give it to him so he can run his business. जी.
Running the madrasa, food children. So their food can be.
Yes, in the madrasa, zakat money can be used in the food of the children, the expenses of the children, the clothing of the children, the stipend, the money for them to use on a daily basis that they get, everything can be used for it. Okay? And if they own the books, one is the books are reused every year, like it happens in public schools here also, and back home in our madaris also. But if you are giving those books to the students and they become the malik of that book owner, then still zakat can be used in that book. Yeah, food, anything that they consume and use, that's it. Or they can become owner of it. If they cannot become owner, like the bill of the, maybe the door, no, you cannot use zakat for that. It happens like this, like back home when we used to study in Karachi, and sometimes we forgot to bring food from home. Then we used to go to the matbakh, to the mess, and then we used to pay money, 5 rupees. So this is what the madrasas have set up, that the food is from zakat, but if a person who is not eligible for zakat, but for his convenience, or he forgot food that day, then they have a fixed amount, he or she should give that money, then it becomes halal for them. Good question. Somebody is an adult student and father or mother bought them an expensive phone or a laptop and it's not in use. Laptop or phone or the examples you gave are all need items, basic necessities nowadays. You didn't buy it, it was given to you as a gift. So if even if you're using it in any once in a while, you don't have to give zakat on it. But if you decided that I'm going to sell this phone, let me make a scenario that Alhamdulillah, you have $500. You gave zakat on it last Shaban, and 2 months before this year's Shaban, you got a new iPhone, but you don't want to use it. You already have your regular phone. You said, let me save some money. You made an intention in your mind that this is now for selling. This is merchandise. As soon as I get a good price on Swappa or on eBay or whatever, I'm going to sell it. So now this became merchandise. And your first Shaban comes, then you're going to calculate zakat on the value of it. Otherwise, as a gift, whatever you receive, as long as even once in a while you're using it, you have not made an intention of selling it, zakat doesn't come on it. Yeah.
So I have some collectible items. I not intend to sell it, just to collect it.
Ah, So if it's not business intention, then you don't have to pay zakat on it. Yeah. जी.
ये जो असातिज़ा होते हैं मदारिस में हम देर करते हुए उनकी जो तनख्वाहें होती हैं वो तो मतलब उसके लिए ये इस्तेमाल हो सकता है ज़कात के लिए?
नहीं, तनख्वाहों में किसी मेहनत की उजरत में ज़कात नहीं दे सकते, चाहे वो आदमी ज़कात के का मुस्तहिक हो। ज़कात बग़ैर किसी मेहनत के देनी चाहिए, तो इसलिए असातिज़ा की तनख्वाह में नहीं इस्तेमाल हो सकती. You were saying something else.
Someone is good to really get some bread. At the same time he's trying to sell it.
जी
Sell it
जी
for a good price.
जी. How is he going to calculate zakat? Good thing. Somebody owns a building, 5 apartments. He's getting rent, and the end of the year, whatever rent he has saved, he gives zakat on that rent. But after 5 years, he makes an intention of selling that building. And his zakat time came once again. So it's on the market also, and he's getting rent also. So now how is he going to give zakat? So he is not going to give zakat on the value of that building. He is going to give zakat on the rent. Once the building is sold and he receives the money, and the money lies there until the next year comes, he doesn't have to give zakat. Once the next year comes, then he is going to give zakat on that money.
When somebody has the plot in the country, and the plot maybe he's thinking about going to give the charity. What he has
He is thinking of
charity.
give it to some masjid or madrasa.
Like that.
Ji.
He has the plot over there. He didn't do it.
Ji.
What have to do?
Now this is like this. You bought, for example, somebody bought a piece of land with the intention to save some money, and whenever the price goes up, he can sell it, right? But after 1 or 2 years, he changed his intention. If your question, he has intention to give it to charity, so if he had that intention from the beginning, then sure he doesn't have to give zakat. As soon as he finds a good cause of charity, he should give it, then he should not hold on it. But for example, you bought a piece of land initially with the intention of not building anything on it, just keeping it idle. Okay, when my kids grow up, I'm going to sell it and use their money for their college expenses or to pay for their wedding or anything like this. So this is considered personal use. You don't have business intention in it. But after 5 years, your intention changes. You bought it for 100,000 rupees, now it's 1 million rupees. So your intention changed. No, now I'm going to sell it right now. So now still you don't have to give zakat because your intention changed and halfway. Until that plot is sold, zakat doesn't come on it. Once it's sold and then the money comes in your hand and the time for zakat comes, then you're going to give zakat for it. In your case, if you bought the piece of land with the intention of charity from the beginning, then wait for the good institution or whatever the case is, give it to them. But he bought it for business purposes, and he has been giving zakat for the last 2 years. Now he decided, make it a waqf. He doesn't have to give any more zakat, but he should not delay it giving waqf also. As soon as he finds someone, he should give it to him. ठीक है, इंशाल्लाह we'll end at this. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wa iyyakum. Assalam.